Hi, team. This is George, and I'm looking forward to getting started this week. And I want to welcome you. First of all, I want to welcome you to class because I know everybody comes with a great deal of experiences from different areas. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to just get involved, focus on our employee development, assessment, and training topics during our 8 weeks, and really be able to dig in and gain from each other's experience, as well as a lot from our text. We have some fantastic textbooks this week that we'll get into in a moment. So my background, I came from Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. I worked for Azusa Pacific University as a designer now, but I was in the learning and development department for Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and Lockheed Martin Aeronautics, where I was able to lead teams within our organizations that actually partnered with organizations for testing, employee development, and we were able to actually look at all this from the perspective of healthy organizations rather than a lot of times we see just box checking so we can get things done. So I have had a lot of experience with that, and I look forward to sharing my experience with you and also gaining from all of your experience. So let's go ahead and jump into our classroom. And as we do this, let's take a look here. So in week one, unit one, we call it, we have what I like is our professor channel. You probably know where that is because you're watching this video now, but I'm going to post a video in there at least once a week. This first week, I'll be posting one during the middle of the week about the primary assignment that's going to be due later on in our class and things like that. So just watch out for the professor channel. I will be updating videos there. Every time I do, I'll put something in the announcements stating that there is a video in there, and I'll give a brief summary of the content that we're going to be going over, because just in case if you don't find it meaningful, then you could just see the summary of the content and just go directly into here. So as we look here, we have the Ask the Prof form as well. That is, if you have any questions, and if you happen to be in the classroom, you find any typographical errors or any links that don't work, all the links should be working. If you happen to find an error in our first week discussion, post it in the Ask the Prof forum, and I'll get it fixed for us. So I appreciate all your help with that. Here's our assignment, signature assignment. I'll be going over that more in depth on another video later. So, and as we go, we're looking at this. We're going to take a unique look, and we're going to be looking from health of an organization, and we're going to be looking from the 4 disciplines of a healthy organization and what healthy organizations do. The 4 disciplines of a healthy organization right here are so important because we're going to build. First, we have to build a cohesive leadership team. Now they have an excellent graphic in our textbook from Lencioni. So as you read that, just pay close attention to that, because the healthy organization, I think, is where everyone is headed, because we've gone past a lot of the other just looking at smart and learning organizations. We're going to calculate all those within a healthy organization. And then creating clarity. Now you're going to notice a pattern here. Create clarity, over communicate clarity. So say it and say it, and then say it again. And then once everybody gets it, say it again, just so it's there. And then reinforce that clarity. So you notice clarity is key as we go through every exercise that we're going to do here as well. So as we are looking at clarity and healthy organizations, we want to take a look and we want to see how we're going to actually measure that within organizations. Can we use metrics that are already available? Let's say if it's a production, can we use metrics that production is already using? Can we infuse the training and the employee development and all the human resources activity into that metric as well? Can we? I don't know. It's something we're going to discuss. And as we look here, we have human resources versus productivity center. I love this conversation because human resources has always been a cost center, because they use resources and don't add to the organization as far as productivity, or do they? So this is a question, because for so long we weren't able to measure the effectiveness of human resources. But if you're not testing, assessing, hiring, recruiting, training, growing in so many different ways the right people, guess what? Your productivity centers are going to go down. At least that's one opinion. I'm not going to give a whole lot of opinions because this is our conversation for this week. So as we look at that, let's go ahead and just jump to it. And as we come here, we are going to be looking at this as a product as revenue generating. So do you disagree or agree with it? And I think we're going to have some great discussions. And as far as discussions go, let's talk about it for a minute, because it's not a discussion if we just post on one day. We put our primary response and then 2 responses to our peers on that one day. We need to space it out at least 3 days so we can actually engage in good conversation, because this is where we're going to learn from everybody's experience. And I've know that we have a lot of experience in our class, so I look forward to gaining from that. I'm going to be putting my 2 cents worth into that as well. So I appreciate all that we're going to gain from everyone's experiences. So with that in mind, we need to enjoy the process. So as we're learning, whether it's simple, tough, hard, God puts us in situations, and whenever we're in any type of situation, we're going to come out with some amazing tools. So whatever we feel about it, just embrace it. And we're going to enjoy it. Now, HR management, strategic planning. What does it mean to focus on health? That's going to be an overarching question that we're going to be talking about. We already did. How can we measure organizational health meaningfully? Because we can have a great idea about implementing all this, but if we're not measuring it in a meaningful way to our executive leadership team, doesn't really matter is the bottom line. So we're going to be talking about that, getting into that. And most importantly, watch out for your schema. What is schema? Schema is all of your previous experiences, everything we see, do, hear, say, any input we take in, we filter through our schema, and our brains want us to think that it is highly intelligent. So what it does is it fills in all the blanks. So our schema is basically our past experiences speaking into whatever we're seeing. So we have to be very aware of that as we go. So I'd like to kind of end with what I like to call the choice. So choose a number between 1 and 5. Multiply that number by 9. If your number is a 1-digit number, just keep it. If it's 2 digits, add those 2 digits together. Subtract 5, and this is going to be your final number. Now we're going to translate that number into the letter. So if you ended up with 1, your letter's A, 2, B, 3, C, 4, D, 5, E, 6, F. So get your letter. Now, pick a country that starts with that letter. Take the last letter of your country and think of an animal that begins with that letter. Using the last letter of the animal you chose, think of a color. Now, there's an 80% chance or higher that you're thinking of an orange kangaroo from Denmark. That's because everyone's letter should have been D, because we pick any number between 1 and 5 and we multiply it by 9. If it's 1, we keep the 9. If it's anything, let's say a 4, so 36, add 6 and 3, we always come up with 9. So we subtract 4, or we subtract 5, come up with 4, and our letter was D. And the most thought of country with a D is Denmark. There are several others, but Denmark is the main one that people think about immediately. An animal with a K, there's not a big selection, and the most popular is a kangaroo, and the most popular color with O is orange. So that's what I mean by schema. So as we go through this, we need to understand that we do have a schema. So as we're running through this, just remember, yes, we have a schema, so we're going to step back and we're going to take a look from different perspectives. That's why our discussion forums are so important, because we can step back and we can look from that different perspective, from somebody else's perspective, because no one has the exact same perspective as another, because we simply don't occupy the same physical space. So I look forward to seeing everyone on the discussion boards, and let's have a great week.